Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a case that honestly reads like a legal thriller. It's a story of innovation versus institution, all set against the backdrop of European law. And it really boils down to one central question. What happens when the very rules designed to protect you are allegedly used as a weapon to tear you down?
These are some powerful words, right? They're taken directly from the source documents, and they frame our entire story. They suggest that what might look perfectly legal on the surface could actually be a carefully constructed illusion. So let's unpack what that really means.
So at the very heart of this whole conflict is a teacher, Raul Fernandez Moya, and his visionary educational project. And look, this wasn't just some regular classroom idea. This was a seriously forward-thinking initiative designed for the future of vocational training in Spain.
I mean, the project was a perfect fit for public policy. It proposed using AI and biosensors for health analysis, which directly lined up with major EU funding goals. It was exactly the kind of innovation Spanish educational reforms were calling for.
But instead of getting support, the project was allegedly shut down. And then, the innovator behind it all was dismissed. The source documents call it an artificial dismissal, a termination that basically set the stage for this massive legal showdown.
So you have to wonder, how did a simple dispute over a school project escalate so dramatically? Well, the source materials describe what they call a wall of institutional resistance, one that turned a professional disagreement into a pattern of alleged harassment. This timeline here, it lays out the key moments of that escalation. After the dismissal, the sources allege the discovery of a secret file, a falsified legal notice, and then a truly shocking email. Each event just builds on the last, painting a picture of what is claimed to be a totally systematic campaign.
This comparison really gets to the core of the whole allegation. On one side, you have the principles of due process we all expect: transparency, documentation, the right to a defense, and on the other side, you have what the case files call institutional simulation. Basically, a facade of legality that allegedly leaves a person completely defenseless. And this brings us to probably the most disturbing piece of evidence alleged in the whole case. An email with the literal text, "die, die, die," was allegedly sent from an official address of the educational authority. Now, it came after the teacher's dismissal and while he was on documented medical leave. The source materials argue that this context completely transforms it from just a bizarre message into what feels like a direct threat.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the legal battlefield. Every alleged action left a digital footprint, right? This created a paper trail that forms the basis of a huge, multi-layered legal challenge, pointing to specific violations of both Spanish and European law.
So each alleged incident was carefully mapped to a specific legal violation. That "die, die, die" email, it wasn't just hostile communication. It was framed as a misuse of sensitive health data under GDPR and whistleblower laws. That hidden file wasn't just unfair. It was a potential breach of constitutional due process. You see the strategy? They built the case on multiple, interlocking legal fronts. And the sheer scale of these alleged breaches is just staggering. The legal filings document over 20 distinct violations of GDPR and other data privacy laws. The argument being made is that this represents a consistent, systematic disregard for fundamental rights, not just, a single mistake.
So when the national channels seem completely blocked, where do you turn? Well, in this case, the answer was Europe. The whole battleground shifted from a local administrative dispute all the way up to the highest levels of the European Union, and that reframed the entire conflict.
The source documents use this brilliant celestial map metaphor to explain the EU strategy. At the center of this universe, like the sun, is DG Comp. That's the Directorate General for Competition. Now, its job isn't to rule on education policy, not at all. Its job is to be the market referee, to ensure there's fair competition. And here's the kicker. A public administration can absolutely be seen as a dominant market player.
The legal strategy for DG Comp was really methodical, and this is the clever part. First, the lawyers defined the market, and not just for innovative projects, but also the labor market for innovative teachers. Second, they argued the administration abused its dominant position by creating these artificial barriers to exclude a competitor, which was the teacher and his project.
See how that reframes it? It's not just an HR dispute anymore. It's a case of anti-competitive exclusion.
Now, orbiting that sun are the planets, and one of the most important is OLAF, the EU's anti-fraud office. Its mandate is super simple: protect the EU's financial interests. If EU funds are being wasted or, actively sabotaged, OLAF is the body that's supposed to investigate.
And the financial stakes here were enormous. The source alleges that the very same administration that blocked the teacher's project later renounced over 5 million euros in EU funds. The argument presented to Olaf was pretty straightforward. This was no coincidence. It was the direct result of sabotaging the very innovation those funds were supposed to support.
And the legal strategy was vast. They didn't stop there. Complaints also went to bodies that target potential financial crime, like the European Public Prosecutor's Office, to bodies that protect the rule of law, like DG Just, and even to the Parliament's Petitions Committee, which gives citizens a direct voice. They covered every possible angle.
Okay, so we've seen all the intricate details of one teacher's fight against the system. But why does this complex legal saga in Spain matter to the rest of us? Let's zoom out for a sec. Because really, this isn't just one teacher's story. It's a blueprint. It's a blueprint for understanding the layers of power in our modern society, and it's a powerful lesson in how knowing the rules of the game is the ultimate form of defense.
So what can we take away from all this? Well, first, that our rights have layers. If a local door slams shut, a European one just might open. Second, that data privacy laws like GDPR aren't just bureaucratic red tape, they are a shield. Same goes for whistleblower protections. But maybe above all, this case shows that the single most powerful weapon in any fight against an institution is meticulous, detailed documentation.
In the end, it really brings us back to this quote from the source materials. It just perfectly captures the essence of the challenge. How do you navigate a system that, it is alleged, uses the appearance of rules to actually break the spirit of the law and block fundamental rights?
Which leaves us with one final provocative question. If the rules themselves can be weaponized against us, what is our ultimate shield? This story suggests the answer isn't to give up on the rules, but to know them better than your opponent and to have the unwavering courage to see the fight all the way through. Thanks for joining The Explainer.